On the 4th of August 1883, Thailand launched its first issue of postage stamps, the Solot Definitive Series. The series was designed by William Ridgway and featured a central bust profile of King Chulalongkorn, Rama V, facing left in an oval frame within an elaborate rectangular border. There were 5 stamps in the set at the opening of the postal service: the Solot, half an at, the at, the siu, the sik, and the salon. Each design was printed in 6,250 sheets of 80 stamps. The perforation machine used by Waterloo and Sons at the time was notoriously temperamental. This accounts for differences in perforation sizes and stamp size perf to perf found on the same sheet, as well as dimensional variations in the stamps. These are most notably visible on the siu and the sik. Even though only 6,000 odd sheets were printed for the Solot, this necessitated 2 major repairs and re-engravings of the plate. The most likely explanation for this is that the steel alloy used either contained too much copper or the carbon mix used for hardening it was incorrect. As a result, the plate wore quickly. There's some doubt as to whether the first repair was a major re-engraving or whether Waterloo decided that a completely new die was required. The fact that only one steel plate still exists and that the wear then continued into the next printings points to a repair, even though we call the new states plates. This produced what we refer to as plate 1, plate 2 and plate 3. Plating the Solot is fairly straightforward using the rules illustrated in the slides. Working out the position in the plate is more challenging. Unlike the first Queen Victoria stamps line engraved, which have check letters in the corner to help you find their position, the Solot needs the use of my free plating guide available on academia.edu. The heat maps that you will find for each Solot plate in my book show you the location of the most interesting re-entries. Let's take a look at 10 examples of particular interest together. There are 2 stamps in plate 1 I would like to draw your attention to. The first is A4, that is located in the first row of the 4th column. You will find concentric circles drawn in the round circular value fray. These have been pointed out to you in red. You will find that a number of stamps in plate 1 and plate 2 carry this kind of circular engraving sign, but A4 has the most prominent features in the Solot. G5 also presents some points of interest. In addition to some spikes on the upper 2 circles, you will find burr rubs and lines in the upper oval. Finally, it's a most interesting artifact, which examined in a microscope looks a little bit like a star. Plate 1 immediately began to wear as soon as it was used. The most notable part of the design to suffer clear damage was the upper left scroll, and to some extent the upper right scroll. The wear on the scrolls is clearly visible. However, signs of wear can be found on all 4 scrolls in state 2. The 2 stamps above show catastrophic engraving ridge damage around the moustache and goatee. These faults permitted the ink to flood that area of the stamp, defacing the king's profile. This kind of damage required the printing of plate 1 to be stopped. The new die, or major plate re-engraving, known as plate 2, had parallel lines engraved inside the oval numeral in Thai, unlike the first die, which had a solid background. In state 1, the plate had a dot in the top right margin of the stamp. There's no dot. An interesting example that shows both an artifact and the effect of wear on the item is the B2 stamp in plate 2. A round circular object, most probably an engraving fault, appears over the second letter in the value oval. As the stamp wears, the artifacts fade, leaving just a light circle, barely discernible. The most interesting stamp in plate 2 is without a doubt F2. It presents a particularly fascinating artifact which appears to be a triangle placed above the northeast numeral at 11 o'clock. The stamp named Trikaya in Buddhism represents the three bodies or modes of Buddha. They are the body of the essence, the body of enjoyment, and the body of transformation. Plate 3 required significant re-engraving, making it the most interesting and varied plate. There are no less than 4 stamps carrying the graver's mark. F7 and F8, as well as G6, all show William Ridgway's mark. A6 was signed by his apprentice James Coe. The final stamp worthy of further examination is H6. Not only are there re-entries on the Western value circles in the frame, but there are significant re-entries in the value oval. If you collect the different stamps in the Solot plates, you will discover that these are among the most interesting Thai stamps.